Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Daly, and on behalf of the Michigan MTSS Technical Assistance Center and Michigan's Department of Education, I'd like to welcome you to the 2026 Dyslexia Summit. We're so glad to have you join us. We have an awesome lineup of speakers for you and are excited to get started. Before we do, we have a few housekeeping items to share with you. All speakers are going to take place here on the main stage. The session materials and handouts can be found by clicking on the handouts icon in the left navigation bar. A few of the speakers have elected to not share their handouts. A note catcher has also been provided for you in case you want to take notes for each session. You can use the chat to communicate and ask questions, but the speakers cannot see the chat. For our morning sessions today, we'll have moderators who will gather questions throughout the session and ask them during the Q&A portion of the speaker session if time permits. Due to some scheduling conflicts, we've had to pre-record sessions from two of our speakers, which we will stream this afternoon. So therefore, we will not have a Q&A portion for those sessions. We will have breaks between sessions today with a 30-minute lunch break. Based on some feedback from last year, we've planned longer breaks between sessions to allow you time to reflect on or discuss your learning with your team. We've provided a reflection and discussion guide for you, which is included in the session materials and handouts. Please note that we're required to follow specific rules for sharing sketch codes. So we will share the sketch codes in the chat for the first 10 minutes of each session, and then again for the last 5 minutes. The speakers will also be sharing sketch codes before and after their sessions. We are unable to add codes in between those times, and we ask that you also refrain from sharing the codes within the chat. Please make sure that you write down the codes when they're shared. When applying for sketches, you only need to submit a single application with all of the codes, and we will be sharing that application link at the end of the day. We also ask that you submit an evaluation at the end of the day today, as we value your feedback and use it to improve our events. We also share the session feedback with each speaker, and that link will also be shared at the end of the day. Please don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions or issues. Tech support is available and can be reached via the info in the chat. Please make sure to sign in via the electronic sign-in sheet. You'll see it on rotating slides throughout the day. Since many people are joining us throughout the state via watch parties, we want to get a clearer sense of attendance for this event. The electronic sign-in sheet will actually replace sending sign-in sheets from your organization. So each person, whether you're attending individually or attending a watch party, will need to complete the sign-in sheet, but you only need to do it once today. As a disclaimer, any mention of specific literacy curricula, intervention programs, screening, or progress monitoring assessments in any of these presentations does not constitute an endorsement by the TA Center or the Michigan Department of Education. To view a list of those approved literacy curricula, intervention programs, screening, or progress monitoring assessments, please visit MDE's K-12 Literacy Dyslexia webpage, and we'll have that link shared throughout the day as well. If you're attending a watch party, please share your pictures with us. You can tag us on social media, on Facebook or Instagram, or send us your pictures to info@mimtss.org. We hope you enjoy hearing from these incredible speakers today. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kim St. Martin, Mrs. Denisha Smith, and Dr. Jen Saylor, who will share a brief overview of Public Acts 146 and 147.
Well, good morning, everyone. So we are live from Western Michigan University. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
And I have this is new this year. Last year we were not live on site. And so I have the gift of being at Western Michigan University, and I'm with Dean Deinhardt. I'm with the two associate deans, Dr. Earhart and Dr. Hayback, and they have been amazing. There's a watch party actually right here at Western Michigan University. And so we've been setting up where our in-service, pre-service faculty are going to be. And what I really love best about this is that we have the opportunity with this law because it involves pre-service and in-service educators, is to really marry both of those public acts. And so having a watch party at a university where it includes both pre-service and in-service teachers and faculty is just a gift. So I can't thank them enough. And are there any words that you guys want to say about the work you've been doing in preparation for PA?
We're all going to look at each other. We're super excited to have everyone here. We believe that we are really trying to lead in this effort and ensure that we're doing what's best for students, always students first. Kim always has her flyer that says so.
I've got it right here.
That's right. So that's what we're trying to work on here. We're super happy to be here, that you're all here with us, and excited to have this watch party here. Did I miss anything?
No, we're just thankful that everyone's here, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos, who are having a wonderful hockey season.
Yes.
By the way,
are.
so we
Once again.
just have to give a shout out to the Broncos. And I will be honest, next year I am looking forward to us being able to have to be on site in different locations. So if that's something that you are interested in, stay tuned for more information for next year's Dyslexia Summit, because we will be able to be on site, perhaps right where you are. And please, please, please don't forget to capture some pictures of your watch party. I'll be taking some, and we would love to have those so that we can share them. So with that said, I'm gonna kick us off and be able to provide an overview of PA 146. Okay, so this is designed to be a brief overview of PA 146, 147. So it's an overview of the K-12 literacy dyslexia law.
We're back.
And for those of you who are looking for your access code, this is the code 3841. So everyone make sure you jot this code down, 3841. So let's begin with the overview. So Public Acts 146 and 147 were signed into law October 10th of 2024. And the goal of the K-12 literacy dyslexia law was to improve outcomes for all students, kindergarten through 12th grade, so all of our learners. Public Act 146 impacts in-service teachers, and Public Act 147 impacts pre-service teachers. For those of you who may not be familiar with where all of the information involving our K-12 literacy dyslexia law is located, please feel free to click on, take a screenshot of this QR code, because it's going to take you to the Michigan Department of Education K-12 Literacy Dyslexia Law website. And this is where you're going to find all of the information that is on there, including frequently asked questions, information about the approved Tier 1 curriculum list, information that is related to assessments. And I'm going to be talking about some of those things in just a few moments. Before we get into those particulars, I want to outline some of the requirements that Michigan Department of Education is expected to do as a part of the K-12 literacy dyslexia law. One of the first things is to update a list of screening and progress monitoring assessments by January 1st of 2026. And the good news is that has been completed. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that process in just a few minutes. The second thing that Michigan Department of Education is required to do is publish a list of evidence-based Tier 1 reading curricula and materials by January 1st of 2026. The good news is that too has been done. The third thing is to develop technical assistance for components of PA 146, such as things like understanding the various facets about dyslexia, like characteristics of dyslexia, what it means, what dyslexia is not, some of the myths versus truths of dyslexia, and the impacts of children spanning kindergarten through 12th grade. We're also providing technical assistance related to structured literacy, evidence-based instructional methods and curriculum materials, and how to select and use assessments and curriculum materials. And last but not least, Michigan Department of Education is also providing a coaching model that is going to build upon the work of what's been established for K-3, and it's going to be expanded through grades 4 through 12. And so that is something that is currently in progress. So more information will be coming. Districts, on the other hand, are required to, in the 2027-2028 school year, districts are required to select assessments, universal screening assessments, and progress monitoring assessments, and also provide assurances to the Michigan Department of Education that literacy coaches and educators who are providing reading instruction have received the required professional development that's outlined in Public Act 146. They're also expected to implement the research-based assessments and instructional practices and implement the English learner requirements. This is the timeline that has been developed that frankly began last fiscal year. It started, this timeline was developed in part by my colleague, Mrs. Denisha Rawls-Smith, that started the beginning of fiscal year 2024-2025. And it really began outlining how once the law was passed in October of 2024, and Section 35M funds were also allocated in last year's state aid, state budget funds, it outlined the various things that were going to be happening. And so this is a handy dandy timeline that outlines the various things that have been happening by Michigan Department of Education, which you can see those rectangles in that bluish gray color in this slide. And then it outlines the things that are district or public school academy or LEA responsibilities. And we can see that it is March right now, March 20th. So we are here, that little, what looks like a speech bubble, pointing to the time frame of January through March. So a part of the work that Michigan Department of Education has already done is we have, per Section 35M, we have developed the Committee for Literacy Achievement, or the acronym used is the CLA. And so, although these are very tiny, tiny font, tiny words that are on the screen, all of these individuals are the individuals that were a part of the Committee for Literacy Achievement that really began the work that was focused on the identifying the ranked tiered list for Tier 1 elementary curriculum materials, the interventions list, and professional development. And so we actually, within the Committee for Literacy Achievement, it wasn't just people saying that they wanted to be a part of that process. There was a very intentional recruitment and selection process. There were nominations across the education organizations. An example of an educational organization was the Michigan Association of Superintendents, for example, or the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators. Those are two examples of ed orgs. There was also a Michigan Department of Education selection. And then there were individuals who had to complete an application to be a part of the Committee for Literacy Achievement. There was a blind application review process, so names were de-identified and responses to the application questions were carefully read, reviewed, and scored. And then work groups were assigned based on the application responses. And things like individuals' experiences and their level of expertise, they all factored in to determining which work group people were going to be a part of to support the work, the overall work that the Committee for Literacy Achievement was expected to do as outlined in Section 35M. There was professional learning provided on by various national literacy evaluation tools that have been a part of our state's review process. And there was also individuals from the Committee for Literacy Achievement who were on these various work groups or subcommittees, if you will, that were co-creators of the Section 35M evaluation rubrics. And there's been ongoing opportunities to provide feedback and further refine these evaluation rubrics. So it has been a very collaborative process by the individuals who have been on the Committee for Literacy Achievement in being able to design a review and evaluation process for things like the Tier 1 curriculum resources and professional learning, as an example, and most recently our assessment review team process that is going to meet the requirements of Public Act 146 and fit the context of our state, because PA 146 very much has specific specifications that needed to be taken into consideration. So let's talk a little bit more about the assessment review process. And the K-12 literacy dyslexia law, so that had that QR code. If you scan that QR code, you will see information about the assessment review process. So there are, on that webpage, you can see PA 146 vendor resources. So these were the types of things that are, and I have my colleague, Mrs. Denisha Rawls-Smith, who's joining, who I think, Denisha, I stepped on your toes and started to take your slide. So my friend, please take over from here.
No problem. Good morning. And thank you so much, Kim, for having us. I'll just continue right where you are with the assessment review process. Kim has already shared that the resources for the process you can see on the screen are available on the K-12 Literacy and Dyslexia Law webpage. And there are some PA Public Act 146 vendor resources, as well as the actual request for submission document is there. So during this process, the request for submission was open for 2 weeks. The Committee for Literacy Achievement reviewers were trained in NCII process for evaluation. There was a 3-phase process for assessments that included an initial review, followed by an outreach to vendors. This outreach was a clarification log. So anything that reviewers didn't quite understand or they thought they might need some additional information on, the submitters were able to clarify on those logs. After the clarification process, the evaluation of screening assessments portion of the submission was completed and followed by an office hour for successful submissions. Those who were successful during the screening process were invited to discuss and receive further technical assistance and guidance on their submission. In January, the assessment review process opened again so that additional reviews could occur. This gave our vendors another opportunity to submit items for review. This submissions process is open from January to September of 2026. And you'll see on your screen that there are a few stop points during the process where reviews will take place and there's an opportunity for our list to be updated. For example, this month, the assessment list will be updated with any submissions that met the criteria. Now moving on to Tier 1, the curriculum process. Again, you'll find resources that for vendors, also for districts, if you're interested in the request for submission process, you will find some items there on that same K-12 Literacy and Dyslexia webpage. The Committee for Literacy Achievement reviewers were also selected and trained in our national tools, so the Reading League, curriculum evaluation guide. They received a thorough training from Carrie Curto. Just a shout out to her. She's been phenomenal on the evaluation guide. The request for submission process was 2 weeks long, and there were 3 phases. That initial phase was aligned with and informed by the Reading Lead Curriculum Evaluation Guide. The second portion of the phase was ED Reports, version 2.1, and then the ESSA levels of evidence rounded out our review process. Each submission was reviewed independently by reviewers, 3 different reviewers, and then they came together to gain consensus on what they were seeing and provide a score. The results were privately released to vendors, and then the results were released to the field. We had office hours for those vendors. We're actually continuing office hours this month to provide feedback and technical assistance. We find that to be very helpful for individuals that might want to continue, or they may want to resubmit because they did not meet the criteria the first time around. The ongoing review cycle for Tier 1 curricula will be through September again. So you'll see on the next slide. This month, we are reopening the evidence-based Tier 1 class-wide elementary reading curricula RFS. It'll remain open to September 30th of 2026. And then again, you'll see that we will update the Tier 1 list 2 more times in 2026. And now for technical assistance, I will turn it over to Dr. Kim St. Martin.
Okay, thank you so much, Denisha. So rounding out our brief presentation was regarding Public Act 146 and 147. We just wanted to talk about, take a few minutes and talk about the resources and support that we are providing related to technical assistance for Public Act 146 and 147. So first and foremost, Michigan Department of Education's literacy webpage has a litany of resources that people really should check out. And so certainly the QR code for the K-12 literacy dyslexia law is one of those things. You'll find information related to the frequently asked questions about PA 146. You'll see the actual law itself. And there's some additional professional learning resources, the Michigan Dyslexia Handbook, which is a really wonderful resource. I was actually just doing a professional learning opportunity yesterday at Western Michigan University with Region 7 superintendents, and we had individuals who were there that were that had the handbook, and it was all marked up because they've been using it so much. There's also information about literacy grants. One of those literacy grants is for districts to register teachers to access the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And that is really going to provide a great deal of information about structured literacy and a lot of the foundational knowledge about how reading develops, dyslexia, and related to how reading develops in the brain. The MiMTSS Technical Assistance Center, we also have online professional learning as well. And some of the topics that you can see, this is just a sample of the topics that we have, but we have family partnership sessions. We have sessions related to secondary, because this is a K-12 literacy dyslexia law. So we have secondary professional learning sessions. We have sessions that talk about specifically the advanced tiers. How would we intensify literacy instruction? And explicit instruction. How do we support the instruction to be more intentional and explicit? A lot of I do, we do, you do. And we have the explicit instruction power hours. These are just examples. Although you don't see it on this page, but we are also working collaboratively with MDE's Office of Educator Excellence and in looking at ways that we can provide additional supports for our educator preparation programs. So you will be able to see additional professional learning opportunities that are going to extend to our colleagues in institutions of higher education. With that said, on behalf of myself, Mrs. Denisha Rawls-Smith, and Dr. Jennifer Saylor, we want to say thank you. And please enjoy today take pictures, and send them to us so we can see the wonderful learning that you're experiencing. And I will be actually on the 4th floor joining the watch party at Western Michigan University. For those of you who are getting sketches, here's your closing code. So don't forget to write that down. And have a great day of learning. I cannot wait to see you at 3 o'clock when I introduce Dr. Malenko, our state superintendent. Thank you.